Hey peeps! Hi, Vapian here again with another Nicquid review, this time for 4 natural tobacco flavors from GoodeJuice.com. Now, all of the Nicquids that I'll be talking about today are a 50-50 PG-VG blend. That's the only option that these are available in. And 18 milligrams. So they've got good throat hit, and because of that high VG ratio, they all make good vapor. I'll show you real quick. Excellent vapor, excellent throat hit. These flavors are great as far as that goes. Being natural tobacco extract flavors, they've got a lot of particulates in it, a lot of suspended solids, and I ran into some problems. Basically, I tried them in a lot of different cartomizers and they would get really tight as far as the draw went. There would be this ashy taste that would develop in the first or second refill. I communicated with the folks at GoodeJuice and they told me about this filtering. Basically 3 stages is what they had been using. Right about the time I communicated with them, they had noticed this same problem, except mostly with atomizers. So they added a 4th stage of filtering using charcoal. So all of the Nicquids that I'm going to talk about have that 4th filtering stage, which definitely helps but doesn't eliminate the problem. With these newly filtered versions, I could get 3, 4, on the outside 5 refills in a cartomizer before the problems would come up. I haven't really noticed any problems at all since I started trying these in atomizers, but I blow mine out fairly frequently anyway, so you know, if you're not used to frequently cleaning your atomizers, you might find you have to do it a little more often with these. So it's up to you as to whether that's something that's going to be a real factor for you or not. All of these can be thinned. One thing about the GoodeJuice site is that they offer most of their flavors in either all PG, all VG, or 50-50 blend. The tobaccos are only available in a 50-50 blend. Because of that, they're either going to be more than thin enough for you or probably not thin enough for you, in which case you might want to consider thinning them with some just straight PG or a little vodka, whatever gets it to the consistency you need. I can say that thinning them out really doesn't seem to help with the cartomizer issue all that much. So just keep in mind, for all of these flavors here, I'm not really recommending their use in cartomizers at this time. Maybe some additional filtering will take place later on, but until that happens, this is really dripper's paradise kind of stuff. Another thing I will mention is their smaller bottles are pretty much your standard drip tip bottles that you're used to. Their larger 30 ml bottles have this flip top with sort of a flat top and an eccentric hole in it. A little bit different than your normal bottle, which makes it a little bit difficult to drip from the larger bottles. I sometimes found that it would run down that flat top there and not drop exactly where I wanted it to. So if you're going to be dripping with these, you might want to consider transferring you know, 10 or 15 mils into another bottle and dripping from there. On to the flavors. The first one I will talk about is called Wild Turkey. And this is sort of a light amber Nicquid. It shows up a little bit darker on screen, so I'm assuming it's going to show up a little darker for you. But it's kind of a blonde color. This is an extracted Turkish tobacco, duh. As a result, it's got a little bit lighter flavor to it than I was expecting. It did not really like to be thinned much for some reason. It seems thinner than the other 50-50 blends that I'm going to be talking about. In an atomizer, this Wild Turkey had a really velvety feel to it in the mouth, which is kind of surprising, especially given the cartomizer experience. Just to kind of tell you what this was like in a cartomizer, it seemed like it had a really sharp taste, a lot of nose to it, like a nose tingle that was frankly kind of unpleasant. In the atomizer, no problems with that at all. It was just a very velvety, smooth, a lighter tobacco taste, but definitely a tobacco presence there. Vaped cool, it loses a lot of character. Bring it up to Midland warm, that's when it really starts to come to life. Quite a bit of character, gains just a little bit of tongue bite, which is not entirely unpleasant, but it was just kind of unique. Vaped really warm. This started to get an unpleasant character to it. Some of that sharpness and bite started coming back, and if for any reason the atomizer started to get dry, it would harsh up pretty quickly. So with this wild turkey, extracted Turkish tobacco blend, you would definitely want to make sure you keep your atomizer wet. All in all, I mean, it's not a bad flavor at all. It's just not quite as strong as I was expecting. Probably if you are new to the extracted tobacco stuff and you're really looking for tobacco flavor, this might be a good one to start with. Again, just keep in mind you want to keep your atomizer pretty wet with it. The next one I will talk about is called Acadian Gold, and it's ever so slightly darker than the Wild Turkey, and I'm assuming that this is extracted from like an Acadian Perique blended tobacco. A little bit bright on the inhale, a good medium tobacco flavor, just a touch stronger, I thought, than the Wild Turkey was. Sort of a pleasant tongue bite to it, and I'm really not sure that I'm doing it justice in describing it that way. It wasn't quite velvety, but definitely a mouth-filling tobacco with just a little bit of a bite to it. That's really the only way I can describe it. Vaped cool, it gained sort of a velvety feel to it, which was a lot of fun to vape. When I heated it up just a little bit, I basically found that it lost a little bit of that smoothness, but it gained sort of a bright character to it, not really sharp. A good light tobacco blend. Vaped really warm, it got a real unique taste, but it did harsh up if the addy were to get dry, kind of like the Wild Turkey. All in all, I mean, I have to say the Acadian Gold was a very interesting vape. Playing around between the lower temperatures up to the higher temperatures with the atomizer really brought out a nice palette of flavors to play with. It's definitely a unique tobacco taste. I'm not sure that everyone will like that. From what I understand, it's a fairly popular flavor among pipe smokers. So if you used to be a pipe smoker, this will definitely be something for you to try out. The next flavor I have is called Natural Perique, and again, just a shade darker than the last one, it seems. It had a very similar taste to the Acadian Gold, although a little stronger, but not unpleasantly so. I would call it a fuller tobacco flavor, darker, a little more mellow, a little earthier with not quite as much bite, which made it a little more pleasant. But again, the flavor was stronger, and it's a very distinct, unique taste. I can't really associate it with anything that I used to smoke. It's definitely tobacco, but it has its own character, which I'm assuming is the Perique that's part of this. And as I understand it, the method for making Perique tobacco is kind of unique, and it has its own distinct taste as well. So this very well may mirror that quite well. Vaped cooler. Again, velvety feel, very nice mouth-filling flavor. Vaped midland warm, it got a little fuller and surprisingly just a touch sweeter. Not a whole lot, but just a little. Very warm, it loses that smoothness, but it gains, all I can really call it is a more complex tobacco character. In all cases, it had this kind of dark sweetness behind it, which got a little bit stronger as the temperature went up, and a little more flavor on the exhale. Again, it's a very distinctive flavor, much like this Acadian Gold. Based on the research I did, Perique again is a popular tobacco flavor for pipe smokers. So if you were a pipe smoker, this may be one that you'll really want to look into. It's definitely a lot of fun to vape. The last one, I actually don't have any left. It's called Patriot, and I got that in the big bottle, kind of like this one. Patriot was definitely my favorite of the 4 tobacco flavors that I tried. For some reason, Patriot had me thinking that it was going to be trying to mimic a cigarette flavor, and I could not have been more wrong. Patriot was the thickest of the bunch. It definitely survived thinning better than any of them for the cartomizers, and it has just a very good, rich, sweet, earthy, full tobacco flavor that reminded me of several different things. Way back in the day, there used to be this tobacco barn at a vocational school that I went to in high school, and walking through there, the tobacco was in there drying. Reminded me a lot of a good, loose leaf chewing tobacco, kind of like holding a cigar in your mouth without having lit it, and that tobacco and the sweet taste of the wrapper sort of fills your mouth. It reminded me of all of that. It is just an incredible, sweet, warm tobacco flavor. And as far as vaping it cool, vaping it midland, vaping it hot, it is a veritable playground of flavors. You can discover things about Patriot all day by bringing your variable voltage or variable power device down or up the range. It's just a phenomenal vape. I really wish that it worked better in cartomizers. I did have some success with Patriot, actually. I thinned it down basically 1-to-1 with PG at one point, so I could see if I could make it work in a tank, and it worked. And I only got through 2 tanks before the cartomizer was basically shot. Call that 4-5 refills altogether. Even at diluted 50% with PG, it had enough flavor to be really satisfying, really interesting, made for a great vape there. Like I say, it just didn't last very long. To summarize, Wild Turkey, probably not a friend to thinning, and you definitely don't want to vape this one too hot. It can harsh up on you pretty quickly. But it's a good tobacco flavor, definitely worth checking out. The Acadian Gold, definitely a unique, distinct tobacco flavor that, from what I understand, should be popular among former pipe smokers. Again, don't vape that one too hot. You might find that it harshes up a little more quickly than you would like. The Natural Perique, another strong, unique flavor, very similar to the Acadian Gold, but stronger, a little darker, a little more complex, slightly sweet. Definitely an interesting vape. Former pipe smokers should love this, and if you're looking for a unique tobacco flavor, Natural Perique could definitely be a good one to check out. Patriot, my gosh, if you really like tobacco flavors and you like that sweet Virginia tobacco taste, check out the Patriot. As long as you're dripping, you won't regret it. If you're using cartomizers, order small samples of these to get started. If you're a cartomizer fan, see if it will work in the cartomizers that you use when it's thinned down, and if that works for you, great. If not, you might want to wait and see if they come out with some additional filtering or something like that to make these perform a little better in cartomizers. As a dripper, you're going to probably like any of these flavors. Patriot. Try the Patriot. You will thank me. So that's all I have to say about those for now. Hopefully I will get some more videos on some other interesting things done here pretty soon, and see you on YouTube a little later. Take care.